Hey guys, Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations for you today. Got an album review to do. I've been wanting to get back into the swing of doing more album reviews, and I figured why not kick things off with what has fast become one of my favorite releases here of 2019. I know we're only a couple months in, but yeah, I've listened to this album probably 5 or 6 times or better since I've picked it up. And I absolutely love this thing, and I think definitely one that others should be checking out. And I'm talking about the debut full-length album from the band Aenigmatum. This is a self-titled release put out through Headsplit Records. And yeah, if you don't know who they are a death metal band based out of Portland, Oregon, formed back in 2017 after the split up of Blood Freak. It was formed by former members Kelly McLaughlin, who does guitars and vocals here, and Pierce Williams, who does the drums. And yeah, they're also joined in this band by Eli Lundgren on guitar and Brian Rush on bass. I've got some notes down here, which is probably why you see me looking down a little bit. Excuse me. And like I said, and the thing is that both Kelly McLaughlin and Pierce Williams have been in quite a few bands. Kelly McLaughlin, his list of bands is like fucking huge. And Pierce Williams, you might know from Torture Rack. He's also playing guitars in Lord Gore. He's in Puss Rot. And a couple other, he was in Blood Freak, as I said. He was also in another band called Compulsive Slasher, which I had never heard of, which coincidentally actually has the man behind Headsplit Records on vocals, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, as I said, this is their debut full-length. Prior to this, they only had a one-track digital demo for the song Indoctrinations of Mourning, which is track 5 on this release. And, excuse me. It's 6 tracks, clocks in around just a little over 34 minutes in length. And while the band name itself actually is a pluralized version of the Latin term enigma, basically meaning multiple mysterious things, mysteries, puzzles, riddles, things that are inexplainable, there's nothing mysterious about this band. You basically have a more modern take of the old school death metal sound. I mean, this is such an old school sounding death metal album that you would swear it could have been released back in the heyday. And what I like too is they also kind of throw in a little bit of black metal influences here in some of the riffs. And basically what this is, you know, this whole album is just riffs and ideas that the band members came up with over the years, and they're very influenced from early Dissection. And like I said, in some of the riffs you can definitely hear that. The album itself, it starts with kind of this slow building intro with these, you know, kind of weird, almost cosmic sounds. And then finally, when it kicks in, it's just like full speed ahead, straight up in your face death metal for the next 4 tracks. But then it ends with an instrumental entitled Interitus. And like I say, it's all instrumental, but I dare say that it's actually kind of a mellow track in a way, because you pretty much have 4 tracks of just, like I said, in your face death metal, all this heaviness, and then it just ends on this kind of mellow note, and it has this really killer like melodic guitar solo at one point. And I actually talked to Pierce Williams on Facebook, and he pretty much described it as quote unquote a pretty chaos. And I'd say that's pretty damn accurate with this album, because it's chaotic, you know, when it comes to the riffs and everything, it's chaotic, but yet it's very melodic at the same time. It has melody, it's catchy, and yeah, really good stuff though. Definitely, if you're into the old school style of death metal, then definitely this would be something to check out. Vocal wise, Kelly's vocals are kind of like a mix of a snarl mixed with a growl. He does some really good shouts here and there, and then Pierce actually throws in some really low growls and high to mid-range shouts in the background every now and then, kind of sprinkled throughout the whole thing. Overall, though, they both turned in really good vocal performances. Bass, oh, I love the bass on this album. It's the kind of bass that I love to hear, especially on a death metal album, because it's very audible in the mix. And I've always enjoyed bass that's audible in the mix. I mean, that's why I love Cannibal Corpse, because you can always hear Alex Webster's bass. Same thing with Gene Simmons and Kiss. You know, he may not be the most technical player, but you can still audibly hear his bass, and he always lays down a solid backbone. And I think that Brian Rush actually turned in a killer performance here. Just very thick sounding bass, very, you know, kind of, I hate to use the word twangy, because then you think, you know, high pitched, you know, no, it's you, once you hear it, you'll know what I mean. It's very audible. It's got a really good tone and just a solid performance throughout. Now the drums, whew, I love the drum sound on here. They got great sounds, a great tone out of the drums on this. It's very thick sounding and got some killer blast beats, but he doesn't just stick with just straight up blasting. He actually does a lot of good drum fills and rolls, and just changes things up, and just, you know, keeps it interesting for you. He doesn't just do, you know, one tempo, one blast beat speed or whatever. He changes things up, keeps it interesting, and just, again, solid performance. And again, the way they, you know, the tone that they got for the drums is just amazing. And then lastly, the riffs. And, you know, I know for a lot of people that's the big thing for them, is they got to have those riffs. And I think you'd be very pleased with this, because they're a very good mix of heavy and catchy with some definite melody to them, some very good melodic parts to it. And as I said before, they have a very early dissection influence to the way they write their songs, and in two particular tracks this showed up, and that was Lashed and Scorned and Indoctrination of Mourning. You really hear the black metal dissection influence in those riffs. And the funny thing is that Pierce was saying that those were actually songs that he wrote 10 years ago. So, you know, you got 10-year-old riffs and ideas that still sound fresh today. I mean, these guys, I think, turned in a hell of an album. And as I said, it has become one of my favorites so far of 2019. So, yeah, if you're into old school death metal and you just love something that's got that mix of heaviness and melody, I guess you could say, or just, you know, heaviness and, melody, then, yeah, definitely check out Aenigmatum. I give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. Definitely worth checking out. They're actually going to be putting out the CD version of this here soon. I am definitely picking up a copy, and I definitely suggest you do the same. So yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. Go check out Aenigmatum. Show them some support. They definitely deserve it. And until next time, stay brutal.